Good evening, and this evening we are not doing my usual talking nonsense and spouting at the screen. Today I'm actually going to introduce a video that was one of the first ones I recorded, and it was a reaction to my reaction of Dominoes by Ren. If you know who Ren is, you know who Ren is. But if you don't, it's a song called Dominoes by Ren Gill, and you'll probably just find it under Ren. There are enough people around, and that is just his name. So, I heard the song the first time while preparing for my very first video, and I had to do it, and I was stupid, supremely brave, and not very good at talking to the camera. And I'm still not good at talking to the camera, but you're getting better than I was at the time. I did it completely unfiltered, no makeup, and unprepared. And I'll be honest, I got a little bit emotional towards the end, and it kind of had to cut myself off. But it was an important step in my personal development as a person being on camera and learning that my face is enough. Yes, I'm wearing makeup today. Not much. This is my 3-minute miracle. I'm just about acceptable for the camera. Just about. So I'm going to show you this and hope you don't completely decimate my self-confidence. But at the same time, I would like you to appreciate what it took me to do it at the time. And I have a few notes to add at the end that I didn't manage to complete on the actual video. So I hope you enjoy my reaction to my reaction. It's not a video reaction to one of Ren's tunes. It is self-analysis and analysis of analysis of us as a community and how we treat each other and ourselves. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you stick around for the bits at the end. So this is my reaction, not even a reaction to, but my reaction to my reaction, yeah, mouthful, of Dominoes by Ren. And a little bit of backstory for why I thought this was an important video for me to record. I first heard Dominoes when I was preparing to do my very first on-screen for Musing Mamie. And I was so petrified that I was coating my face with makeup. And when Dominoes came on my YouTube mix, if you will, kind of hit me like a half brick, a well-aimed one. That everything he was saying in the music, the lyrics, were punching me in the gut every time. Because by slathering my face in makeup and trying to hide all my flaws and make myself more socially acceptable to conventional beauty standards, I was perpetuating everything that we should really be fighting against. So it was very painful. So halfway through the song, after he'd started talking about Araya, I stopped my music, I went to the bathroom, and I wiped all my makeup off and started again with the bare minimum to make me feel vaguely comfortable. So I'm going to go through the lyrics and talk about just how they made me feel and why it's so spectacularly frigged up. And we let it happen day after day after day. And it's freaking terrifying.
Oh, you built this like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. Oh, you built this like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. You build us up just to knock us back down. Funny how you act surprised when we hit the ground. We're like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. So bleed me of all my self-belief. My smile shows all my insecurity. In the kingdom of photoshopped kings and queens will never feel happy with ourselves, but insecurity sells.
So yeah, not good, is it? And I get pictures. And as soon as that line, so bleed me of all my self-belief, comes into my head, I just see this horrible little corporate gremlin sneaking up behind people and trying to siphon off self-belief, while billboards and adverts and music is fed into our eyes and ears to perpetuate the feelings of insecurity. And yeah, polite smiles, aren't they lovely? Those smiles that you put on your face just so that no one thinks you've got a face like a slapped arse. And smiling, you know, how many women have walked around and someone said, oh, you'd be so much prettier if you smiled more. Stuff that. I have spectacular RBF, resting bitch face. And the change of the word from insecurity to insecurity, yep, insecurities bite. It stings. And at the same time, people's teeth are quite often a source of insecurity. I know mine were, and still are. I was only very young when my Bugs Bunny teeth came through. You know, still a child with a child's face and features. There wasn't enough room in my mouth for these huge teeth. So yeah. Now, Photoshop kings and queens, the lie that we are told daily. I have come to the conclusion that any kind of Photoshop or filters should be completely banned in any form of marketing, because any photoshopped images or filtered images or anything like that are not real. And they bleat about the little fine print, and these are what do they call it, not the actual results, or results may vary. Yeah, the results will vary, but you'll not get what's on the screen because they have tweaked and filtered and painted and done so much to it to make it look like they think that you should want to look. How is that achievable in any way? So we'll never be happy with ourselves? No, because how can we be when the idea of what is conventionally beautiful, what is correct, what you should aspire to be like, it's all false. Really gets on my nerves.
Dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. Oh, you built us like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. You build us up just to knock us back down. Funny how you act surprised when we hit the ground. We're like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. I hide my head under the sheets. 'Cause how can I face a world that ridicules the weak? Where beauty is sold on the shelves, forbid that we find it in ourselves. And now I'm broke, it don't come cheap. Oh, you build this.
Yeah. I hide my head under the sheets sometimes, trying to hide away from people seeing me or seeing what the world expects of me. Or sometimes I just crawl in there depressed as hell because I don't fit. And I never will. To be quite frank, I will never fit. Yeah. So how do we live in a world that ridicules the weak? How does anyone actually function? Or go on to achieve anything? If at our weakest point we are ridiculed for even the attempt. That's terrifying, isn't it? I'm going to try something new, I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to try to learn something else, I'm going to put makeup on for the first time. I might look like a clown, but I might try to sing something, I might try to play something, paint something, create anything. But the ridicule is there, straight away. And vulnerability is difficult. Vulnerability is very, very hard. But when we're talking about like physical beauty and physical attraction and things like that, yeah. If you want to look beautiful, you have to buy what is on our shelves. You have to buy our product. If you want to look this good, this photoshopped good, you have to buy our product. Horse manure. So yeah. They've already started bleeding us as self-belief. And in my mind, I think it starts as soon as children start noticing the world outside of their immediate family. As soon as they start being able to understand the adverts that come on the TV or the radio or the billboards that line every street, as soon as they start to actually notice those, that is when it starts. That is when that siphoning off of self-worth and self-belief and self-esteem starts. And we seem to be okay with that. And I'm just as guilty. I can't say that I haven't been affected by it. I can't say that my son isn't affected by it, or my sister, or the rest of my family. And I am terrified that my nieces might be influenced by it. It is a cruel and insidious practice. So, yeah, beauty sold on the shelves, and heaven forfend that we actually find it within ourselves. You know, in here or in here, instead of this little patch of skin that sits on the front of our skull. Not our empathy, not our compassion, not our brains, not our ability to create things. None of that is what's important. It all boils down to a freak of genetics that you have absolutely no influence over. So yeah. And then the last line, now I'm broke, it don't come cheap. No, because they have been feeding you full of this stuff for so many years. So long, and every time you've bought something, oh, that's not good enough anymore, you need to try harder, you need to buy more. Buy more, buy more. And the more you buy, the longer you stay broke.
Like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. Oh, you built us like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. You build us up just to knock us back down. Funny how you act surprised when we hit the ground. We're like dominoes, dominoes, dominoes falling. Araya was the most beautiful girl in this world. She shined like diamonds and rubies and pearls. But then, as soon as she turned 13, she forgot just how bright that it was that she gleamed. Stuck in the material world of magazines that glamorise fake and Photoshop beauty queens. Top 10 beauty tips making her feel inadequate. For the first time in her life she felt ugly. So Araya stopped eating to lose weight. She spent her dinner money on some makeup for her face. But no matter how much she lost or how much she bought, she was never good enough, or so she thought. Araya felt she could never be loved. She started cutting her wrists and hiding her scars with gloves. At 16, an anorexic beauty queen, she collapses in a puddle of her tears and blood. Cause she never felt enough, she never felt enough. Your sellers told this lie that we must buy to keep in touch. We can never buy enough, never buy enough. All the riches in the world can't buy a sense of self-love. Funny how you act surprised when depression's
Yes, Araya is very sensitive to me because I was that 13-year-old girl, probably 11 or 12 actually, and I was ridiculed because I didn't fit what teenager girls were supposed to be then. When I hit my teens, or my tweens, was the early 90s. Early to mid 90s. And accepted beauty standards at the time. Okay, you probably already know. 90s fashion, heroin chic. Everyone was skinny as, or sorry, the beauty and fashion industry was skinny. Super duper skinny. And yeah, they call it heroin chic these days because heroin addicts tend to be skinny as. And it's awful. I hate the way that they use it. But I didn't fit. I had hips. I had bosoms. I was curvy, not fat. Let's be quite clear on that one. I was not fat. I had a tiny ass waist, but I was still ashamed because I didn't fit what the beauty industry was telling everyone. Clothes didn't fit properly because they weren't designed to. Everyone was supposed to be skinny. And because I was an early bloomer, there were still so many of my peers walking around with these androgynous looking bodies because they hadn't started puberty yet. And I was wrong. I was made fun of. I hadn't started with my braces yet, so I'd got really wonky ass teeth, and trust me, there just wasn't enough room in my mouth for them. I had 6 teeth now. So, I was wrong in so many ways. I was also quiet, I wasn't outgoing, I liked reading, I liked studying. I was just wrong for everyone. And oh god, I try not to think about it too much now. But I know exactly how Araya felt because when I look back, there was nothing wrong with me at all. There have been like, shall we say, nostalgia groups come up on Facebook of people I went to school with, and they post things like their old class photographs. And there was nothing wrong with me at all. I didn't even deviate that much from what is traditional. Then obviously other things happened. My face started changing, and I mean the shape. Like, rather than a girly face, I grew into a jaw that my granddad gave me. Thank you, Granddad. I'm actually quite pleased with it now because I am not a chinless wonder, and I'm quite happy about that. But I was still not what people wanted. And at 12 years old, I was trying to hide my droopy eyes. You know, putting the little flicks on the side, wearing mascara because these eyelashes are blonde. My eyebrows are blonde, you can barely see them at times. So I was trying to fix everything that was wrong. And failing because I was still a child. In contrast to Araya's story, I went the opposite way. I still cared. I just showed everyone else that I didn't. Made me a bit of a sourpuss, to be quite honest. I had a sour ass face. I was nasty to everyone. I was cruel. But at the same time, it was my defence mechanism. If they were going to make me feel less than worthy, I would do it straight back at them. And okay, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And yes, there is the concept of killing with kindness. No, I didn't do that. I was just brutally evil to everybody. So I didn't try to conform. In fact, I went out of my way to be as non-conformist as actually humanly possible. I hated everyone equally. I didn't engage in the things that everyone found funny. I cultivated a very Queen Victoria-esque "we are not amused" expression. And my resting bitch face became active bitch face. Some people liked it and thought it was funny. And those people actually became my friends. I had some. Not many, but I had some. But I was still subject to the feelings inside, even though I wasn't letting them show and doing everything within my power to demonstrate that everyone's opinions didn't matter to me. It was still sat there, eating at me insidiously, right here and right here. Little gremlin that was running around my head and my heart and telling me I wasn't enough. And while I put out this image of someone who didn't give a flying monkey's left testicle, it was still hurting me. So Araya's story hit me hard, and I also recognise it for what it is. And I think if we spam the entire beauty industry marketing department with this song, and I mean constant spamming, daily, open an email, there it is, I think half of them will quit within a week, because it's very difficult to look at yourself and think, am I doing this? Is this what I'm doing to other people? And especially those with children. Could you imagine them looking at themselves in the mirror with Dominoes playing and realising that their jobs are hurting not just abstract people, but the people they love most? It's a lovely idea, but it will never happen. I'm going to skip back a little bit because this next bit needs to be heard from the very beginning.
Enough, all the riches in the world can't buy a sense of of self-love. Funny how you act surprised when depression's levels rise, when you force feed inadequacy straight into our eyes. Television shows that praise the beautiful people, and talent competitions that just laugh at the feeble.
Force feeding inadequacy straight into our eyes. Anyone old enough? Does anyone remember what's the film? The Clockwork Orange at the end, where they have his eyes pried open with that machine and force feed all that evil stuff into his face. Yeah. It's not force fed, it's drip fed. Drip, 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 drip. Like water torture. But it's just as evil. Just as evil.
Billboards, magazines, people turn to plasticine, moulded like a factory. We're growing up to fear, feeling ugly, it's lunacy. And not even a community, cause insecurity breeds judgment, judgment breeds hate, no unity. And hierarchy based upon aesthetics is what makes a kid in school get bullied for genetics. And I felt so ugly growing up, the way that I looked sometimes got me beaten up. I mean, what the fuck sort of culture do we live in, when we're defined by the shape of our face, when we're ashamed by the size of our waist, when we're imprisoned by the form that we take? And so we keep buying and spending. That's just how this story goes. You build us up just to knock us back down, and we just keep falling like dominoes.
So yeah, we all keep falling like dominoes. And I'm just going to highlight one thing about the domino motif. All it takes is for us to make one person feel like crap. Because when we feel like crap, we don't feel like making anyone else feel any better. So for every person that is made to feel like trash and not worthy, any of the above, that person is going to make someone else feel like it. And then they will do the same to the next person and the next person. And every other person that is set up in a line, fed the insecurity, fed the lack of self-belief, or had it siphoned away, whichever you want to call it. And every other person that is set up in a line by commercial and corporate greed, flick one, the rest go. Yes, I had Domino Rally as a kid. So, even if we try and reduce the effects, it's not going to be enough until we take a massive global approach to eradicating commercial lies, corporate greed, and the feeling that we're not worthy. Because that is what marketing is. It manipulates our insecurities. It manipulates our emotional vulnerabilities. If I'm not this, I'm less. If I'm not that, I'm not worthy. If I'm not how I'm supposed to be, I'm nothing. And that is a horrible, horrible way to make someone feel. So yes, there we go. I did end up a little bit overwrought by the end of it. So please don't judge. I had a thought later on after watching that back and realising there is something about Dominoes. And in another song of Ren's, I'll not go into it now, he says he never writes hooks for the radio, they never even play him. So why would he concern himself like that? Now, the weird thing about Dominoes, I call it both an irony and a tragedy, because that song should be played every morning when youngsters are getting ready for school, when adults are getting ready for work. It should be playing when they're plastering makeup on their faces. It should be played while they're getting weighed in the morning. It should be played while they're looking in the mirror and hating what's there. But commercial radio will never, ever do it. There will be clauses in advertising contracts saying, please, whatever you do, don't play me after Ren's Dominoes. Please. I also had another thought. Alongside the idea that the beauty industry should be spammed with that song day and night, wouldn't it be wonderful if the marketing industry across the board, all B2C, which is business to consumer or customer, if all of it was held to much stricter and more stringent guidelines? And I don't just mean guidelines, I mean rules that you stick to, or you get your advertising completely obliterated off the face of the planet. Because that way there wouldn't be any photoshopping, there wouldn't be any false advertising, any of this nonsense of these results are not typical, or results may vary, all that nonsense and all that horse manure, because I'm trying very, very, very hard to keep my language clean. I do get creative with that one, but I know that decimating the marketing industry would be cruel and unusual torture for people like me who actually have to work in there. But part of me would be absolutely thrilled, absolutely ecstatic. Not just because we would stop all of the false marketing, false information, and this idea that we have to feed into someone's heads that they need this, you need this, you need it. Because I genuinely feel that if there's anyone like me, they probably hate having to do that. Having to make people think that they want it. They don't. They don't want it. They don't need it. They are fine without it. Okay, fair enough. If they do want it, if they actually genuinely want something so much that they will go looking for it, fine, fair play. I am quite happy with marketing as an information source. Why do you want this product? Well, it does this, and this, and this. If this is what you're looking for, have at it. We will happily sell it to you. But other than that, I find advertising and false marketing emotionally and morally reprehensible. And I should probably get fired for that. But there we go. There is my little rant over with. Perhaps not appropriate, but I had to get it out. So thank you, and I hope to see you again soon. Mwah!